There was a boy named Adam. He was not famous, not rich, not the funniest student in school. But once, he used to smile a lot. He used to answer questions in class. He used to laugh loudly with his friends. He used to tell his mother every little thing about his day. But slowly, everything changed. It started with small things. One day, when Adam answered a question wrong in class, everyone laughed at him. The teacher smiled awkwardly. The students whispered. Somebody from the back said, "Bro, just stop talking." The whole class laughed again. Adam laughed too, pretending it did not hurt. But that night, he kept thinking about those words. Just stop talking. Again and again. The next day, he spoke less. And after a few weeks, people noticed something strange. Adam became quiet. Very quiet. At lunch, he sat alone. In class, he avoided eye contact. Even when teachers asked questions, he stayed silent. His friends thought he had an attitude, but the truth was different. Adam was afraid. Afraid that people would laugh again. Afraid that his voice sounded stupid. Afraid that every word coming from his mouth would become another joke. And little by little, silence became his safe place. Sometimes pain does not make people cry loudly. Sometimes it makes them stop talking completely. Days turned into months. Adam's mother started noticing changes too. "Why are you so quiet these days?" she asked gently. "Nothing," he replied. That word became his shield. Nothing. Even when his heart was full of sadness, he still said, "Nothing." One evening, Adam sat near the window during heavy rain. He watched the drops slide down the glass slowly. And for the first time in months, he whispered to himself, "I miss the old me." But nobody heard him. Not even the rain. At school, things became worse. People stopped inviting him. Some classmates called him the mute boy. Others ignored him completely. And the more people ignored him, the more invisible he felt. You know what hurts the most? Not hatred. It is when people slowly act like you do not exist. One day, the teacher announced a presentation project. Everyone had to stand in front of the class and speak. Adam's heart started beating fast. His hands became cold. His mind screamed, "What if they laugh again?" That night, he could not sleep. He practiced alone in his room many times. But every time he imagined the classroom, his voice disappeared. Presentation day arrived. One by one, students walked to the front. Then, the teacher called Adam's name. The classroom became silent. Adam slowly stood up. His legs felt weak. He walked to the front holding the paper tightly. His hands were shaking. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. The class waited. A few students started whispering. Somebody giggled quietly. Adam looked down. His eyes filled with tears. And then
he ran out of the classroom. That day broke him completely. When he reached home, he locked himself inside his room. He looked in the mirror and asked himself, "Why am I like this?" But mirrors never answer. Days later, something unexpected happened. A new student joined the school. Her name was Sarah. Unlike others, she noticed Adam immediately. Not because he was loud, but because he was quiet. One afternoon, she sat beside him during lunch. Adam felt uncomfortable. He expected her to leave after a minute, but she stayed. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Sarah smiled softly and said, "You know, quiet people usually think the deepest." Adam looked at her for the first time. Nobody had ever said something like that to her before. The next few days, Sarah kept talking to him. Not forcing him, not judging him, just sitting beside him. Sometimes, healing does not begin with advice. Sometimes, it begins with someone staying. Slowly, Adam started speaking again. One sentence, then two, then small conversations. It was difficult. Very difficult. But for the first time in a long time, he felt safe. One day, Sarah asked him, "Why did you stop talking?" Adam stayed silent for a moment. Then he quietly replied, "Because people only listen when you are perfect." Sarah looked at him carefully and said, "No, wrong people do that." Those words stayed in Adam's mind for days. Maybe the problem was not his voice. Maybe he was simply surrounded by people who never understood him. And slowly, he began changing again. Not into the old Adam, but into a stronger version of himself. He learned something important. You do not have to speak loudly to matter. And being quiet does not make you weak. But hiding your voice forever slowly destroys your soul. Months later, another presentation day arrived. Adam was nervous again. But this time, he walked to the front anyway. His hands still shook, his heart still raced, but he started speaking. Slowly, carefully. And even though his voice was not perfect, he continued. The classroom stayed silent, not because they were mocking him, but because they were listening, really listening. And when he finished, people clapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, but enough. Enough for Adam to realize something beautiful. The voice he almost buried forever deserved to be heard. So if you ever meet someone quiet, be kind to them. Because maybe they are fighting battles nobody can see. And if you are the quiet person listening to this right now, please do not let the world silence you forever. Your voice matters. Even if it shakes, even if it breaks, even if only one person listens. Because somewhere in this world, someone needs to hear your story. And maybe that someone is waiting right now.